Hi everybody, welcome to Serpentes Sunday for Sunday, January 30th, 2022. I'm Lori with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Equine Sanctuary. Behind me is Marcel, and he's one of our children's pythons that we have here at Behavior Education. I have been in a conference the last 2 days, and I have the conference all day again tomorrow. I taught an extra class this week. I've been training an intern from the local community college this week. And I've had my own schooling to do this week with papers due and quizzes to take and stuff. So I've had a busy week. Usually it's been the tradition the last couple of years when I'm in a conference that I do vlog posts for the conference weekend. This is just a little bit different. I just did a training session with Marcel, and I just recorded it, and I did a narration while he was training live in real time, and I'm just going to show that unedited. I did notice after I spoke that I said it was 1 o'clock in the morning on January 29th, 2022. And that goes to show you how busy I am, because I didn't even know what date today is, but it's Sunday, January 30th, 2022. Marcel just ate 2 prey items. He just had 2 repetitions of a training session. You're just gonna get to see that, and I'm not even gonna edit it. And then I'm gonna show you Sunspear, one of our Morelia bredli. She came out during the day this week, and I got some just real beautiful footage of her climbing out onto her activity stations and what that looks like. And it's just one of the normal activities that I do when I'm working in my office or working in this building and I'm not out with the horses. If one of the snakes wants out and I'm able, I let them out, and I just roll up activity stations, or I put them in an exercise tent and I let them do whatever they want. So you're just going to get to see a short clip of that as well. Hi everyone, it is about 1 a.m. on Sunday, January 29th, 2022, and Marcel is awake, and I see him moving around his enclosure. So I thought we would see if we could get him to do a behavior for you for Serpentes Sunday this week. See if we could maybe get him to target out of his enclosure and onto this activity stand. Because I'm in a conference this weekend, and I've had papers due for school, and I've had a lot of extra consulting that I've done this week, and I haven't necessarily had time to do a Serpentes Sunday video. I want to do part 2 of the course we started on approach and retreat, and how we use that to teach our snakes to tolerate our presence and our proximity, and then eventually our touch and handling. I have the outline done, and I just need to record that presentation for you. And then I taught an extra class this week for my patrons. So I've been pretty busy. And I thought the next best thing to a live training demo is if I just decide to train a snake and do the whole thing in real time on video and not edit it or anything, and just narrate it as we go. And you're gonna get all the background noise that's usually going on when I'm doing training, and that includes any dogs barking or the furnace running. And he just did fabulous. What a good boy, Marcel. And I will remind you that Marcel came from Riley Jemison at Riley's Reptiles. And he came here as just a little baby, and a friend of mine and one of my great Patreon supporters has 2 of his clutch mates. And Marcel was actually attacked by cats a few months ago, like in the late summer, early fall of 2021, and that's because he escaped from his enclosure twice, and he left his room and went down the hall and went through 2 barriers to get into the room where we keep our cats. And he got the short end of that deal, and now he's shorter for it because he had to have the very tip of his tail amputated. Let me see if I can show you that while he's here eating. He had a lot of puncture wounds up and down his body, and thankfully, other than some ingrown scales, he didn't have any internal injuries. And then he had to have the end of his tail amputated because it was just too far gone and it got necrotic and it's not focusing. So if you haven't heard that story or seen what the tail looked like before, go back and just search in YouTube for Marcel, M-A-C-E-L, our children's python, and you will be able to see his story of his traumatic ordeal being attacked by cats and how lucky he is to be alive. I cleaned Marcel's enclosure all out and put all his stuff back in, and he's finished eating. And he had a mouse fuzzy, and I have a rat pinky for him too because I'm going to do a second repetition during this training session. But I thought I would just give you a close-up of him now that he doesn't have a mouthful of food. He's 2.5 years old. He was hatched in July of 2019. So in July of this year, he'll be 3 years old. I haven't had any issues with him biting or having over aggressive food responses, but I have been target training him from day one. I mean, from his very first feeding here. So we've established a routine of handling, of him shifting onto stations, of him coming out when he wants to for exercise, and of target training to earn food reinforcers. So I don't know, it's just so easy when you start them young like that to manage them throughout their lifetime. So far, I just haven't had any issues come up, even with the adults that I've retrained once they've got here, or trained from scratch once they've gotten here. I have 2 adult carpet pythons that I'm like their 5th or 6th owner, and I don't even know how old they are. But they've both adapted very well to the target training and shifting and cooperative care behaviors, and it just makes things so much easier. So I'm gonna see if he'll shift back in, since I'm not sure really what he's doing now or where he thinks he's going. But since he has a history of going places he shouldn't, I would prefer to ask him to shift back into his enclosure. I'm so used to doing voiceovers for most of the videos and foregoing any live narrations that when I did Marcel's second repetition during this training session, I did not say one word. And I realized that it's possible that could be kind of boring for you guys. So I'll just let you know what I'm doing. I'm just asking Marcel to shift from the activity stand that he shifted out onto and ate his first prey item back into his enclosure. And then I'm going to reinforce him with his second prey item. His first prey item was a mouse fuzzy, and his second prey item is going to be a rat pinky. And last time I fed him, I just did 1 training repetition, and so he got a hopper mouse. So I don't feed him more often for training, and I don't feed him bigger meals for training. If I'm going to do more than 1 repetition, I just figure out what a normal size meal for him would be, which is typically around a hopper mouse or maybe a very, very small weaned mouse. And I divide that into 2 or 3 by giving him rat pinkies or mouse fuzzies. Marcel managed. There we go. Today is January 25th, 2022. This is Sunspear. She's one of my big female Morelia bredli. She was hatched in July 2017, so she's going to be 5 years old this year, and she came from Ralph Polinsky. She oftentimes is awake during the day and quietly sitting at her door, And if I'm working in this front office room, I will often open her door and just let her out. And today I did that. And she's a big girl, and I like to keep her occupied in areas that are safe for her. So I rolled 2 activity stations adjacent to each other. That's what you see here. And I just rolled them up next to her enclosure. She's already been out for a couple of hours, and she actually left the activity stands for a while. She climbed on top of this stack of enclosures. She climbed across the top of the windows there, and she started to climb down here where I was working at my desk. And I encouraged her to go back the direction that she came from, and she started to, and then she ended up lying on top of these Zen habitats for a while. And she has put herself back on this activity stand now. And I'm not gonna do anything with her. I'm just gonna let her be. She's right next to her enclosure, so she can go back in if she wants. I'm just keeping an eye on her. And she doesn't need to eat or anything today, so she is just purely out for physical exercise and mental stimulation, and that's her choice. She didn't have to come out. I saw her at the door, so I opened it, and I'm just letting her do what she wants as long as it's safe for her and for me and the other animals in the house. And I have all afternoon that I'm going to be working in this room and in my office at my desk, so I can keep an eye on her. And I'll check in with her and see what she ends up doing a little bit later. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you found some value in this week's Serpentes Sunday. And if you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to contact me via my website at behavioreducation.org, via email at behavioreducationllc@gmail.com, or you can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. I think that's it, but you guys should know by now how to get a hold of me. And also consider joining our Patreon community. I feel like everybody's getting a lot of value out of that. And it's a great group. They interact with each other, they interact with me, and I really get to do a lot of behavior consulting and answer a lot of animal training and behavior questions, which I enjoy. And this week, I taught a short class for about a half an hour during our Patreon live meeting, and I really enjoy that too. Until next time, everybody, please remember to always be kind and love your animals.